So when you buy shares with Vanguard, what happens is they send you some stuff in the mail when you buy shares. It doesn't matter which shares you buy, if it's US domiciled or not. You're usually sent something that looks like this, and I've blacked out the personal identification stuff, but it's usually sent this in the mail, and it's basically just welcoming you to Vanguard. But they also want you to do a few things to fill out and stuff like that. So I usually fill it out online, and you can go to here, www.computershares.com.au, easy update /VEU. So VEU is the ETF that I'm doing it for this one, but if you have to fill it out for every ETF that you buy. So I've got the three, VAS, VEU, and VTS. So this gets sent 3 times to me. They also send you this, like an actual physical copy to fill out, but I would suggest just to do it online. And in case you don't know, this computershares.com.au is a register in Australia. I think there's like around about 6 of them, and depending on who you buy with and who the ETF is registered with, so obviously I buy Vanguard in this instance, Computershare are the register for Vanguard in Australia, so that's what that is. So you get sent this, you fill out the details online, that's what I do, but for the ones for the ETFs that are domiciled in the US, which I've got 2, VTS and VEU, you do have to fill out the W8 Ben form so you don't get taxed twice. So when you get a dividend, obviously the US, the IRS take a portion of the dividend, and then it's sent to you whatever's left over. Now, because we've got a tax treaty with the US, you need to fill out this form to get that, to stop that double taxation from happening, because then when you get the dividend delivered to you in Australia, then you'll also get taxed on it. But if you've already paid tax in the US, that's not really fair. So if the ETF is domiciled in the US, Vanguard also send you this form along with the other form I just showed you. So this form, they recognize that it's domiciled in the US, and they say, hey, you need to fill out this W8 Ben form so you don't get the double tax on your dividends. So this is one that I've actually filled out to show you. Now, I've filled it out as a trust, because I buy all the ETFs that we buy through a trust structure. So it's a little bit different for individuals. And if you're confused or you're worried about anything, go see an accountant, go to see a tax specialist. They'll be able to help you out with this. But this can give you an idea of what I had to fill out. Now, something to note as well, Vanguard send you a watered down version of the form. It's not actually the entire form, because they only send you the form that they think that you need to fill out, and then they also say in there that if you need to fill out the whole form, you need to go download it. So it's a watered down version. Just be aware of that. So it starts off with part 1. So I'm a trust. The beneficial owner is a trust. Then the name of the trust, which I've got in there, but I've got blacked out. The country is Australia. Part 4, I'm a complex trust. A family trust is under a complex trust. Leave everything else out. I've checked this box because the address up here is the same as my permanent residence, so I don't need to fill out that. But if it was different, I would need to fill out that. Then I don't need to fill out Part 8, US tax identification number. Don't need to fill out that. Part 3, the beneficial owner is a resident of Australia. Yes. 4, the beneficial owner derives the items or items for income which the treaty benefits. Yes, I crossed that. Now, this was probably the only bit that I had to get my accountant to look over because I was just unsure. You must select the following types of limitations on benefits provision that may be included in an applicable tax treaty. Check only one. I just did company that meets the ownership and base erosion test. Now, I'm not 100% sure exactly what that means, but I've run it by my accountant and he said that this is the correct answer to choose for my situation. Again, if you're confused or you need help with this, go see an accountant or a tax specialist to help you out with this. But this is what my accountant said. So maybe someone out there with who is an accountant or knows more about this stuff than I do can explain why that was the case. I wasn't 100% sure on that part. Something to note as well, when Vanguard send you this, so that's the front page and this is the back page. They also send you this, which is a guide for completing the W8BEN-E form. So every part of the form, I went back to this guide and I was looking at what their recommendations are and stuff like that. So they do help you out. It's pretty easy to fill out, to be honest. That was this bit here was probably the only bit I was not 100% sure about. So this is the first page. Really, really simple, not that hard to complete. And then if I go to the second page, I skipped all this because that wasn't me. And actually, I might have missed something. Sorry. Chapter 4, the part 5, chapter 4 status is something I just want to touch on. So I selected passive NFFE for this bit, and that stands for, if I can remember, I did have it here, non-financial foreign entity. So the difference between, so first of all, this is FATCA is the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, and you have to select you must complete government. So you need to basically select which one that you fall under. Now for a trust, and the what is it, FFI, so many acronyms. FFI was Foreign Financial Institution, and that refers to a non-US financial institution, which I'm not. The trust isn't a FFI. So anything with FFI, that's nothing to do with me. It might be for you, but for me, it wasn't. A trust fell under the non-financial foreign entity bit. Now, it was either a passive or a active I can't keep remembering that, non-financial foreign entity. And how they determine the active and passive is if 50% of the income for the entity is derived from a passive investment like rent, dividends and stuff like that, then it classifies under a passive NFFE. Getting tongue-tied with all these acronyms. So that's what I did, the passive NFFE, and I've verified it with my accountant. So that's right for a family trust with a majority, more than 50% or 100% of my income in the trust is passive. So that's what clarifies there. So that's, I don't think I missed anything else. Complex trust, passive. Yep. So that's the first page done. And then the second page, so now that it's a passive NFFE, I skip all the other parts because they're only relevant if you're like another part, and I just go down to here and I select yes. I clarify that the entity is in part 1 is a foreign entity that is not a financial institution. Awesome. And then down here, B, I further certify that the entity identified in part 1 has no substantial US owners. No, because I am an Australian owner. The trust is an Australian owner. So I select part B. And that's pretty much it. That is the form. I certify I have capacity to sign this form in line 1. Yep. So I then sign, print name, and put the date, and then I tick that box when I go to submit it. And just something to note, the date has to be the US date time format. Don't ask me why, it just does, probably because it's a US form, but don't do it in the Australian format. It has to be in the US format. Now, if you want to, say if you don't get this, or say if you buy the shares and you want to get this straight away, or it doesn't come in the mail for whatever reason, a good place to go to get this is computershares.com.au. Just browse to this this website and go to log into Investors Center down here, and then go to company research here, And then in here, type in one of, or whatever ETF is domiciled in the USA. So the one I'm doing, I think it was VEU. So VEU, we want to do that, but you have to do it for everyone. But I'm just going to do VEU to begin with. So VEU, and you go online W8Ben for individual users. I have to do the one for entities because it's in a trust, but the one for individuals is actually even easier to fill out. It's like a wizard sort of. You go through the pages and you fill it all out and you're next. But I have to fill out the entity one. So you click PDF and here you go. So here's the one that Computer Shares gives you. It's a little bit different, but it's basically the same one that Vanguard emailed to you. And then that's about it. Once it's finished, so once you go to like this, you signed everything, everything's all Mickey Mouse. You can email or you can mail it to these addresses. So you mail it to this one or you email it to this one. I try to keep everything electronic, so I'm going to email it. And that's it. Once you do that, you log into your Investor Center and you make sure your tax is all up to date and everything like that, and then you're good to go.